So let's go ahead and get started. People may continue to trickle in here, but we got some questions going. So for those, I think both of you have been here before. Everyone's been here before. Thanks, David. But basically the way this works, there's a Q&A button underneath me. Go ahead and submit your questions there. It helps to organize things. Hey, Sarah, welcome. It's good to see you. And also, if people want to have a conversation, I'm happy to do that. If it's easier to talk through something rather than have a type out a question, just let me know in the chat and I will unmute your mic. With that said, I will get to this first question. So this is from Istvan. I had just migrated my membership system to a new WordPress site. Sadly, all of the 450 members see the original WP admin bar. I read that I should have checked this option before the user subscribed, but I did it on my previous site, but I migrated it now, so it was no chance to do that. Is there a way to make the WP admin bar for the users removed? I really do not want to uncheck the show toolbar when viewing site box one edit. I mean, that's a good question. That's a WordPress question. So I don't necessarily know the answer to that off the top of my head. I'll do a quick Google search here, see if anything comes up. Bulk remove admin bar WordPress users. How to disable WordPress admin bar for all users except administrators is the first thing that came up. There's it's an article from WP Beginner. There's a YouTube video there, and yeah, so that's the answer. So yeah, just let me just share my screen so you can see this. So this is the URL. I will put it in the chat. But essentially, I just typed in whatever I said on the video as I was typing. Bulk remove admin bar WordPress users. And that's the first thing that came up. So anyway, any one of these things will probably tell you how to do it. All right. Next. Okay, this question is from Emily. One, are existing members responsible for gift membership subscriptions billing once it's purchased? For example, I purchase a gift membership with a monthly subscription. Am I billed until I cancel that subscription, or does the giftee inherit billing management once they redeem it? No, you maintain the billing, hence why it's a gift. It'd be an interesting gift to be like, hey, I bought you the subscription, but you pay for it, right? So no, you maintain the billing as the person who bought the gift. You can cancel it from your side at any time, the same way you would cancel a subscription that you bought for yourself. It's going to be in your My Account area, and you'll see that you can cancel it. So the second question you have is it possible to use the gift card or creating a coupon approach for use on subscriptions with a free trial period? For example, I purchase a gift card coupon of $25 off a subscription that is normally $25 a month, but starts with a 7-day free trial. Would the 25 get taken off after the trial period? So so in this very specific example, because my answer would be different based on the scenario, but you're talking about You have a 7-day free trial that goes into a $25 a month, and you want to create a coupon that gives them a discount on the first month. That's not, so basically you only make the first month free, and then continue on after that. It's not possible to do that with coupons, but all you would need to do is create a duplicate product essentially. And instead of a 7-day trial, you would have it be a 30-day trial, a 37-day trial. And of course, you don't have to tell, you can, on your checkout page, you can still say that this is, you can describe it the way you want. Like normally only a 7-day free trial, but buy now and get 7-day, the first month free or whatever. You can describe it however you want, but how it's going to work behind the scenes is you'll just create a product with a 37-day free trial and use that instead as your offer for as long as you want the sale to be on. Okay. This next question is from David. First thing, just want to catch up to MemberMouse and ask what is new coming in the future. Do you have a refresher series of videos that are for those who used MemberMouse but have not used it for a while and need to get back into things in order to prepare for a launch in January? Well, refresher series. Cindy, what do you think about that? Because it obviously depends on what the difference is, like when you last saw it, and what's there now. The technical answer to that question is, depending on the last version you used MemberMouse with, you may want to look at the release notes in our support center, and you can go through and see what's changed since the last time you used MemberMouse. But I'll see if Cindy has any other ideas in terms of if there's like videos or she's saying the best practices guide, which is on our in the member dashboard. If you go there on membermouse.com and go to guides and best practices, you have the best practices stuff, and what's coming up. So we are, so there's a lot of resources in here. So let me just finish that. So guides and best practices, this might be new since the last time you were using MemberMouse. A lot of work has been done in putting together these types of guides, in organizing content like this. So definitely check those out. As far as what's coming, we're actually working on the next release of MemberMouse right now. We're in the final QA process. It's a pretty sizable release, so we're excited to get that out. And some of the highlights in that are the ability to merge multiple two member accounts together. This is something that we've gotten requests a lot about. Another big thing in there is that CAPTCHA has been updated to the latest version, V3, which is really cool because CAPTCHA V3 is invisible. You don't, how CAPTCHA V2 right now, you're used to seeing that box with the checkbox to say you're not a robot, and sometimes you have to say, look at a picture and say where are the crosswalks and all this stuff. V3 is completely transparent, so it gives you the protection of against people trying to hack the checkout form or whatever like that, but it doesn't interfere with the user's experience, your real customer's experience, because it's completely transparent. There's a whole list. There's like 60 items on the list, so I don't know them all off the top of my head, but that release is coming imminently, and so that's exciting for us, and for others too, because there's a lot of great stuff in there. And yeah, we have a lot of great stuff planned for this year. which I'm not going to go into because things always change in terms of timelines and stuff like that. And so I don't want to say something and then we move it to one other place and then I have to retract it. But the point is, we have a lot of things that are exciting coming up in this year, and you'll see them as they come. Let's see. Let me just close these out. All right, Richard's question is, I'm using Woocommerce to sell my subscriptions and products. So I'm basically using MemberMouse to restrict content. What ways can I use MemberMouse except simply restricting content in my case? By the way, I'm using the MemberMouse WooCommerce Plus plugin from Happy Plugins also. Okay, so one of the main, let's just kind of take this from a higher level perspective. And let me close this because we don't need this right now. What's the difference between just selling somebody a product and having a membership site, right? Because you literally, like, let's just assume people are buying a product from you, paying you one time or a subscription for something, and just leave the delivery thing out of it, right? What is it about a membership site that's different than straightforward transactions and providing somebody with what they paid for? I think that's essentially the answer. That's essentially the question being asked here. And the reason I have to frame it this way and not in terms of MemberMouse, like not in terms of, oh, MemberMouse can do this and MemberMouse can do that, et cetera, is because it really comes down to strategy. And once you know what the strategy is, then MemberMouse helps you implement it, right? So ultimately, it's an indirect way of answering the question in regards to MemberMouse, but I think it's answering a more direct question. And so it's, what's the difference? Well, membership site is about building relationships. Ultimately, you're doing this for a number of reasons, but one of the reasons you might be doing this is, you know, so you can maximize customer lifetime value, right? So if you're just buying stuff from a cart and then people get access to it, that's great. They get access to it, et cetera, but how do you know, what if they want something else from you, right? What if they want more products from you? What if they want to interact with other people who are members or using the same product as well? Now you're starting to get into, if you want to do these things, now you're starting to get into why membership software matters. And not just MemberMouse, but just like in general, why these things matter, because you're trying to build a relationship with your customer. So let me just bring this into, bringing this down to a practical and tactical thing. One of the ways that you can do this in MemberMouse is by using the smart tags within MemberMouse so that you can dynamically adjust the content on your site such that you can put offers in front of people who have bought something from you before, but may like this other thing based on what they bought, right? So that's one way you can have a conversation with them, a dynamic conversation based on what they've done. And then, you know, this is such a complex question to answer because essentially it's, this comes down to personally how you run your business. It comes down to what your personality is. And I think one of MemberMouse's strengths that is allows people, we have all these different businesses running MemberMouse and you running their businesses on it. But everybody's able to do what they want to do and how they want to engage and interact with their customers and run the business, of course, from a revenue standpoint, make sales, all that stuff. You know, the upsell process, the upsell chains are another great opportunity. I'm not sure that WooCommerce has the ability to do upsell chains, but it's a super valuable, strategically valuable point in time when you have this opportunity to help your customer feel like they made a good decision and also give them other things that they might be interested in. And by upsell chain, I mean, when they purchase a certain product, you have the ability to send them a particular page that is specific to the product they just purchased, at which point you can give them an upsell to a different thing, et cetera, or offer them a product that's similar. That's another example of technically things that you can do with MemberMouse. But you're essentially trying to build an environment where your members are happy and they want to spend time. And when you have those two things come together, they're happy and they're spending time there, it equates to natural opportunity for you. It equates to them asking you for more things, more product, them telling you how they can give you more money. But you can't, none of this can happen if you don't have that environment set up where they are active and engaged with you. So I guess I'm making a distinction that WooCommerce is solely and precisely just taking care of the sale. And then it's done. It's out of the picture. MemberMouse is more about what happens after the sale, right? How do you cultivate this relationship with your customer such that, yeah, it leads to more sales, but ultimately it's just helping you be engaged and satisfied and content with the business that you're running too. Follow-up question. I have bonus content for the magazine I sell, and I give them free membership access to this bonus cart when they purchase a magazine. They get a free membership when they buy the magazine. Yeah, see, that's a great idea because you're giving them something for free, you're offering value up front, and then when they and then they get access to it for free in your site. Now they're part of something, right? They're part of something, and you have the ability to now engage with them and have that conversation such that you can build a level of trust that they have with you, and ultimately it will fuel your business. So, you know, I know there was some direct answers in there, but a lot of it was something else. So hopefully that was helpful. That's just the way I see it though. Not everything is about, in other words, like not everything can come down to what is the tactic. Because if it was always about that, then everybody who wanted to start a business would be successful because the tactics would just be written out in a bullet point list. Everybody would get the same list, everybody would implement it, and then everybody would be successful. But running a business successfully is not about that. You want your tools like MemberMouse and other things to help support you when you want to implement something. But ultimately, it's about you bringing your personality to the table, figuring out how you can build relationships with people, and then have the tools support you in that. And I think MemberMouse does a good job at that. Okay, next question is from Amy. I'm working on launching a course with MemberMouse and using cartflows for my funnel. I would like to be able to give them access as soon as they purchase. Also, I'm wondering if you can provide some guidance around the design aspect of designing the members area. I have an idea of how I want it to look, but I'm not sure how to see what it looks like for the members. I'm using divi theme. Okay, so first part of your question, cartflows. I haven't heard from them. I'm going to heard of them. I will quickly look up their site here. Cartflows. So is this a WordPress plugin? Looks like a WordPress plugin potentially. So what I'm looking for and what you would need to look for to see like how it can work with MemberMouse is following the sale, there would need to be some way that cartflows could let MemberMouse know that And I'll just share my screen since I'm just scrolling through this. There would need to be some way that cartflows could let MemberMouse know that something has happened and a member should be created. Now we have an API. So that is probably going to be part of the answer, like whatever their trigger is when somebody makes a purchase, you would have to call our API to create a new member or something like that. Yeah, so it's probably a question that you might want to ask them because I'm not going to be able to find it just right off the bat. But yeah, that would have to be part of it. And then the second part of your question, guidance around design aspects of designing the members area. So the second part of your question, you're saying I'm not sure how to see what it looks like for them. MemberMouse has a preview settings bar. So if I log in as this is our demo site, demo.membermouse.com. And if I log in as the admin, and I go to view the site, you'll see that there's a preview settings bar up here. And basically what this is allowing you to do is view the site as different members. Like, so if I want to view it as a premium member, I can change the drop down and view what it would look like for them. Go to the dashboard, see what it would look like. So you see I'm viewing as a premium member, I see that, oh, the premium member has access to all of these things. But if I change it to basic membership and save, now you'll see, okay, basic membership sees this because they don't have access to these three things down here. So this is one of the tools you have while you're building pages. I always advocate for, actually making a purchase as a member and going through the whole process and experience that a member will have, as opposed to trying to go through everything with the preview settings bar. Preview settings bar is great if you're working on a single page and you want to, and you're, for example, working with the member decision smart tags, which is what's happening here. The reason that this content is changing and showing different things based on my selection is because I'm using the preview settings bar on the page itself to dynamically display different things based on who's logged in. So it's great when you're working on a single page, but if you want to test flows and stuff like that, it's definitely better just to always go through the process. This is how I always do my development, and when I'm testing things, I always just make a purchase at the checkout, get a member account that's now a test member account, and click through the site and see what it looks like for people at different membership levels. It's always good for a number of reasons, which I won't go into now, but that's ultimately how you'll see what it looks like, make test purchases. But what I will show you is there's a lot of tools in MemberMouse that make it easy for you to do testing. So for example, say you're using Stripe, there's a test mode. Or even if you don't have any payment service provider, there's a test payment service. So you can activate the test payment service. Therefore, you can check out the reason that these things are valuable. The test modes, it means you can check out on the forms without using real money. And also, we have, like, when you're really just building the site and it's not even live, you can activate test data. So you fill out basically all the stuff that's going to be entered in on the checkout form once. And you'll notice when I go to my development site and go to my checkout page, everything's already automatically pre-filled out. So I never have to manually type this stuff in. So it's got the test credit card in there for Stripe. So anytime I want to make a test purchase, I just come here and submit the order because the data is already filled out. So these are just useful tools while you're building your site to be aware of. But you'll notice now, once I've completed that purchase, I'm now in as a customer and I can test what they're going to see and everything like that. Of course, your site will not look as bad as my development site, hopefully. And the other part of your question, so you're using divi themes. So I assume that you know about our divi layout pack. What was the URL? Need to use Google to navigate my own site. Okay, so if you haven't already checked this out, because we have a pack that will give you pre-built designs for a lot of for all the core pages, and plus some pages that aren't core pages, like giving you like a payments page. I'll talk about this one last because I think that's a good answer to your question. My account page will look like that. Checkout page will look like this. Of course, if you're using cartflows, you're not going to be using our checkout page. But anyway, so you see this page. This is kind of like, and we call this the member homepage template, but it's essentially comprised of all these widgets that you can just use as drag and drop, with Divi, and then adjust them as you need. I talk a little bit more about it in this video, show you how to do it, so you can check that out. But if you're using Divi, I would say that's a great place to start if you haven't gotten our pack yet. And if you're asking about like general design principles, I'm not a designer. I'm more of a practical person, not that designers aren't, but basically what I think about more is like what I'll typically say is like, and this isn't 100% accurate, of course, but it's just my personality. Like I'm like, don't worry about the design, right? And mainly I say this because a lot of times people can be too concerned about the design at the expense of the strategic and tactical things. And ultimately, the design isn't the thing that makes or breaks the site. There are a number of podcast episodes where I talk to people about this who had built like amazing sites, and then they built like whatever site that wasn't even like, didn't look nice, but it did a lot better. So design isn't the make or break. Design is usually something that we want. And so it's good to do because it's part of the process. You want to get your personality in there, of course. Just don't go too far with it. Make sure that you're thinking about what is the person's experience in terms of getting what they need. And to that end, I think looking at the member decision smart tags is a great thing to do because, going back to Richard's question, these allow you to build a relationship with the customer. There's the member data smart tag too, which is a simple thing. You can put the customer's first name in there, and it's just little touches like that. But on the member dashboard, the critical things are, you want it to be very intuitive for the person to access what they just bought from you. Sounds obvious, but sometimes it can be over-engineered, really. And so, just think about those things. And also, Cindy posted the podcast episode I was thinking of. It's the one with Mitch Bowler, episode 106. So subscriptionentrepreneur.com/106. So anyway, yeah, I mean, without you asking a more specific question, that's all I've got at this time. I mean, it's not all I've got, but I could talk a long time about it, but that's all I'm going to say about it at this time. This, what no one tells you about building a membership site, episode 126, Subscription Entrepreneur 126. Neely Quinn. Yeah. It's helpful to listen to these things and hear from people. And I just recorded another podcast, which has come out in January. But one of the things we reflect on is how important it is to just start and do things. Take the steps that you can take. Because it's, with all the choices and things available today, it's so easy to make things more complicated than they need to be. For example, I mean, case in point, we're looking at MemberMouse.com here. This is not the site that we have had for 10 years. We've had many variations of sites. So things naturally change at different times in the business. And, you know, we all have companies and sites that we admire and that we want to mimic, but sometimes it's just not feasible in the beginning, and we just have to be a little bit easy on ourselves and recognize to work within our limitations and what we can do now. One of the quotes from the podcast that I mentioned is going to come out in January that I like is somebody asked this professional photographer, you know, what's the best type of camera to use for whatever, and the answer was it's the one that you have in your hand. So there's a lot that's saying, you know, but that's it's I think a similar answer with the design stuff. It's like, what's the best design? It's like what you can do. What is your first thought? Because part of what business is about too is iteration and evolution based on the building of the relationship with the customer. So things are always going to be adjusted and changed. So anyway, that's that. Is there any more questions before we jump off here? Cool. Well, thank you everyone for joining, and I hope you enjoy the weekend. And we'll see you next time. Yeah, no worries, David. My pleasure. Have a good weekend. Bye.